o'clock?
8 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good evening. Welcome to the November 7th Clark County Fire District 6 Board of Commissioners meeting and public hearing. This time I'll call the public hearing to order and turn things over to Chief Maurer.
Thank you. So the public hearing tonight is on the 2024 preliminary budget. This will just be an informational meeting. You won't need to take any action on it until next meeting. We're going to go over the assessed value, history, and estimate for 2024, the levy rate history and estimates for 2024, the estimated property tax levy calculation for both fire and EMS, projected revenue and expenditures, and some minimum fund balance information. So assessed value in new construction in the district shows a 7.912 increase. That's a value from about $13.5 billion to $14.5 billion for 2024 taxes. The new construction for 2024 taxes is currently estimated at $283 million. If you see the chart below, you can see how the assessed value has changed within the district from 2011 to 2020, until 2024. You notice in 2023, we got hit with a 19% increase in assessed value. And what that means is it drastically affects our fire levy rate. So we'll go through those estimates. So we were lucky this year, it was only 7.19. Normally we expect the average to be about 10%, so we're a little bit below average this year. So the assessed value for the EMS levy collection in 2024, the assessed value for the EMS levy collection is the same, that $14.5 billion. So that's how we get the levy rates off for the EMS levy. The next chart shows the levy rates from 2018 to 2024. That's starting at the $1.50 per thousand and then decreasing as assessed value increases. So you can see that year between 2022 and 2023 where we had that 19% increase in assessed value, you can see we had about a 18-cent drop in our fire levy, and so that's a big drop for us. From 2023 to 2024, we anticipate we'll go from $1.20 to about $1.16. At that $1.16 rate, depending on where assessed value goes the next year, we don't ever want to drop below that dollar because then we lose some of that potential to junior taxing districts. So the $1.15 rate is pretty low for us. If you were to go for a levy at that rate, we'd be asking for a 35-cent levy lid lift, fire levy lid lift, and so that's a big lift. You can see from 2018 to current, that's the biggest lift we would have asked for if we decide to go for that in 2024. Next, you see the tax collection for the fire tax collection for 2023. It was at $16.2 million, and then we anticipate in 2024 for it to be about $16.8 million. That's an increase of $510,284.33. So even though our levy rate's dropping, we're still increasing. For EMS, we estimate that the property taxes collected in 2023 is $6 million. We estimate in 2024 $6.2 million for an increase of $188,855.17. And then that EMS levy rate that we anticipate in 2024 will be 43 cents, and the fire levy rate will be $1.15. In the fire budget, for our 2024 budget, we collect the majority of our money through property taxes. So about $16.8 million is collected in property tax. That's 97% of the total revenue. We have some other miscellaneous taxes and other revenue, bringing our total revenue for 2024 to $17,166,844. Our major expenditures out of the fire budget are $10,700,000 and some change goes to salaries. $3.7 million goes to benefits. So you can see about $14 million goes to just personnel. That's about 85% of our budget supports personnel for the fire district. We spend about $1 million in supplies, $2.1 million in services, which would be like our architects and trash service and everything else that we get services with the district. And then we have 1.75 that goes into intergovernmental reserve and debt. A lot of that is for our bond payments and building projects, and then capital expenditures. So the total expenditures and transfers we anticipate in 2024 is $19,720,295. Some of the major changes in the fire budget from 2023 to 2024 were we're putting a $400,000 transfer into capital reserve. We've done that the past 3 or 4 years and doing that for the building projects. But other expenditures that we know increase that you'll see within the budget are salaries increased by 4%. We added an additional chief position, so that will come out of the fire budget. Benefits increased, so our health insurance for the PPO plan increased 6%. Our health insurance for Kaiser increased about 17%, and we carry about 20 personnel on Kaiser, so we're getting more numbers in that area. Also, dental went up 6%. Legal costs have increased, and then we also anticipated perhaps we might have more legal costs in 2025 we know we'll be going, or in 2024 for the 2025 CBA negotiations. So we increased legal. Supplies have increased just like vehicle repair, insurance, postage, utilities, just like you're seeing in your residents. Those prices increasing, we're seeing them in the fire district the same. Then finally, we increased the CCFB operations budget with staffing that station full-time. We had some modifications that we had to make for it, such as IT, radio, comfort for the crews. Kitchen, some other minor remodeling projects. So CCFB budget, we increased by $70,000 for a total of $100,000 went into CCFB. For the emergency medical fund, 6242, again, we project the revenue to be at $6.2 million. 99% of our revenue for the EMS budget comes from property taxes, and then we get a little bit in miscellaneous taxes and other revenue. Total revenue for the EMS budget is $6,328,450. Major expenditures within the EMS budget, again, are salaries and benefits. So most of our paramedic personnel are paid for out of the EMS levy. So that totals about $5 million there in salaries and benefits out of the 6.3. We do about $300,000 in supplies, $400,000 in services, and $650,000 this year in capital expenditures. So total expenditures we anticipate for 2024 are $6,715,914. Major points and increases in the EMS budget. Again, it's that salary and benefits, same as we saw in the fire budget. EMS drugs and medical costs have increased, and professional services have increased. One other thing in the EMS budget that we're building into is to outfit all of our units with Lucas devices, which is a pricey purchase, so that's in that budget as well. The board has a resolution that requires the district to carry over 35% of the estimated expenditures for the year. So again, you see our estimated expenditures for the fire budget being at $19,757,845. 35% of that is $6.9 million and some change. So the estimated fund balance would be $10,547,527. So we will be carrying over 53.4% of fire budget in 2024. So we meet that 35% threshold. When you look at EMS, it sits about the same. Our estimated expenditures, $6.7 million. Our required balance is right about $2.3 million. Our estimated fund balance will be 3.8, and so our percentage of carryover is 57.8%. That is above the 35%, but keep in mind that some of that money is earmarked for building projects, and we do need to carry over some with the anticipation of a fire levy just in case. So we're being conservative.
Thank you.
Other funds that the district holds are 6213, which is debt services. That's at $18,124. 6223, which is capital projects at $6.7 million. That's where our bond money sits. Reserve, $110,000. That's a reserve account that we keep always at $100,000. And then in our capital reserve, we have almost $4.8 million. Keep in mind that the board likes to keep 1.2 million in capital reserve at all times, and then 3 million of that is earmarked for the difference of the building projects that won't be covered for the bond. So actually 4.2 million of that account is accounted for, just not spent. So that leaves about 500,000 in capital reserve. So that's where we sit for the preliminary budget for 2024, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
What was the percentage increase for L&I? Oh, I heard they went up quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I want to say 6, but I might be
No,
confusing
6%.
that with the benefits, so I will ask
I
Tina.
was just curious. I know it went up, there's people complaining.
Any other questions?
I guess I do. Just on the Kaiser increase, I know, Chief, we've had some preliminary conversations. Are we looking at the long-term effects of if Kaiser continues to increase? I know we have several members on that, but is that something we might need to look at transitioning away from Kaiser, or what are your thoughts there?
Well, per the CBA, we're supposed to meet annually to discuss health insurance costs, so I have that on the next labor management agenda meeting, which will be next Tuesday. That will be our opportunity to just notify the local that we're seeing that increase and brainstorm ways that we can work around that. So I imagine it'd probably come up in negotiations if we continue to see those increases.
How many people did you say we have on Kaiser?
We carry about 20
We have
on
20.
Kaiser. Yeah, and the reason being is a lot of the laterals have come over on Kaiser because they were already established with them.
Thank you.
So yes, we're beginning those conversations at next labor management.
And what is that, 18%? Is that about $100,000 increase?
Yes.
Just for Kaiser?
Yeah. I want to say it might be a little bit more than that, but yeah.
Because we have
Substantial.
to go, Southwest Washington has to use the Oregon Kaiser. The one in Seattle didn't go up as much. I don't know why the one down here went up so much, but interesting. That's a big hit.
Yeah.
Any other questions? That'll give us 2 weeks then to go over this, and we'll talk about it again
Next
week.
meeting, we have to adopt it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Did
I'm
you get
happy to answer any questions in
questions
between.
on that? Thank you.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, with that, we'll call our regular meeting to order and ask that you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask for any additions to this evening's agenda.
Done here.
Done here.
We'll need to read and approve the minutes of our October 17th regular meeting.
So moved. Post is necessary.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Correspondence this evening, I didn't see anything uploaded into the packet. Citizen communication. Citizens viewing this evening's meeting can communicate directly with the board using the YouTube chat feature that will be monitored throughout this evening's meeting. Committee reports. Looks like Risk Management Group.
Yeah, the risk management group met. We reauthorized our insurance policy for the next year. We also had some discussion about the change in earthquake insurance, and I think the group's looking at different options there. But we did renew the policy, but there's some concerns with the change in the overall coverage of the insurance if there was an earthquake, because it's an overall of all the fire departments that are in the risk management group. And they put a cap on, I forget the exact amount, but there was some concerns by members of the group that, what that cap was.
That cap was 12 million, Commissioner.
Thank you. And that's for everybody who participates in risk management.
Countywide.
Alrighty, thank you. Triple FB.
We haven't met since our last meeting, and I don't know if we're meeting tomorrow or next week from tomorrow. We'll have to find out.
Okay.
So, agenda for 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Should have been the 15th.
Alrighty, moving on to the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Chief's report.
So there wasn't anything to report on the personnel action report this month. We had no anniversaries and nothing really to report. So on to the facilities update. The remodel at 61 is moving right along. They're moving on the administrative wing. The roofers have stripped most of phase 1 of the roofing, and the roofing will be coming in the next couple weeks. Concrete's been poured behind the bays of 1 and 2 where the grease interceptor was installed, and if you stopped by in the last couple weeks, you saw a big hole back there, but that's now filled in. Progress is on schedule. Chief Newberry is tracking all the change orders and presenting those as they come in to make sure that we're still within our contingencies, and then he evaluates them to make sure that they're necessary. One thing that the board, we wanted to make you aware of is there will be a need to replace concrete panels within all of the concrete at some point. So that is a significant cost that we didn't include in the building project. So we will be coming to you with that at some point.
And Chief Newberry gave me a tour last week, and we looked at that. There's some significant damage to it. I mean, it's not going to get any cheaper if we wait till whatever. So once we can evaluate whether pouring concrete elsewhere might be a little bit cheaper. Are we gonna have to go out to bid, separate bid on that, or can we use our current contractor, or do we know?
There's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of different rules depending on which direction we go. I asked the contractor that's there on site to do a complete pricing for all of the panels that we've identified are compromised, and we'll wait to see what his pricing looks like. If the pricing is under a certain threshold, then we can use them. If it's above a certain threshold, then we have to go out to additional bidders. If it's even higher than that, then we have to go out to a full bid process.
So it's not just 2 or 3, there's like 10 or 12 or.
No, there's
a lot.
I think there were 30 some additional panels.
Can we do some now and have them do it and then do some later? They're just pouring concrete, it kind of makes sense, but the state auditor would probably not. They are raising that next year, you saw that.
Yeah. So more to come on concrete panels. We had one owner furnished contractor installed item that the board approved last meeting, which was the Cummins generator for $120,310.23. That price was just for the generator. It did not include the automatic transfer switch and the associated equipment that we need to run the generator. So we need to buy that switch. Total all in, we budgeted $250,000 for the switch and the generator, and both of them together will be $237,951.60. So that's still under what we anticipated spending. The automatic transfer switch is $99,088.20 plus sales tax. That obviously exceeds my threshold, so it would need to be authorized by the board, and that is on the agenda at a later item. Chief Newberry is working on bid packages for AV equipment and furniture. Those were outside the threshold and owner furnished, so we have to go through a bid process. And Gear Grid, who does our turnout lockers, is currently trying to configure the lockers for 36 employees at 61. Station 6-3 storage building, we are still experiencing delays on the project. We reached out to the county late last week. They have helped us push that process along, and that's all coming to a stop because we identified that we have to move the building about 4 feet than where we originally thought. So, and I'll let Chief Newberry elaborate on any of that if you guys have further questions.
Yeah, I didn't hear what necessitated the move of 4 feet.
It has to do with shoring and reinforcement of that retaining wall that's on the south side. The way that the engineering is for the pad, it would basically have had to have been poured more or less under the retaining wall, requiring a bunch of technical shoring. that was not included in the original spec, and that was identified by the contractor. So the cheaper alternative was to move the building 4 feet so that that wasn't required. Unfortunately, what you gain by not spending the money, you lose in time, because then it has to go back to the county for approval. And we all know that that's sometimes challenging, so.
How was it discovered?
The general contractor, when they came out to, actually it was discovered the first day they were here. And that begins an RFI process and a change process, and so.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah, it's frustrating to everybody. I know you, to me, the crews here, the contractor that's not working, the architect who is under the gun. So we know that, and we're working through it.
Great. Any other questions? All right. Old business.
So, and I apologize, I didn't, the policy is in there, number
Yeah.
7. So policy 364, ride-along program, this is the second reading before the board. Essentially, minor grammatical changes that we made, and then change the hours of ride-out time, and then those could be modified by the officer on duty.
Okay.
So if the board chooses to, it would need a motion for approval.
I would make a motion to adopt the changes in policy 364, ride-along program.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Policy 214.
So I added policy 214 last week for public contracts and indebtedness. We just found out that the rates in that policy are changing January 1, so I went ahead and pulled the policy, and we'll hold it until those rates change, and then we'll bring it back.
Moving on to new business.
For the first item on new business is evaluations. So this is the time of year where I present to the board non-represented evaluations and contract issues. So I don't know if that's something that you wanted to go to executive session for.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that down
Okay.
and discuss some things, we have some things to discuss in
Sounds
executive
good.
session.
Yep.
And go on to the ATS system, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So again, we'd need board approval to make the purchase of the automatic transfer switch for the Station 61 generator. The total for that switch is $99,088.20 plus tax.
So I'd make a motion that we authorize the chief to purchase the automatic transfer switch for the amount of $99,088.20. Plus tax.
Second.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Alrighty, budget transfer.
So again, in 2023, we allocated $400,000 to be transferred from 6212 fire control to 6258 capital reserve. It's a budgeted scheduled transfer, but the board needs to make a motion for it in public meeting in order for the county treasurer to release those funds.
I'm sorry, going from 60 to what?
6212 to 6258.
So from the fire budget to capital
Reserve,
reserve.
400,000.
I'm writing. I'll make a motion that we transfer $400,000 from 6212 to 6258 capital reserve fund.
Second. Motion's moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Alrighty. That leads us to evaluations. With that,
I think you have an RCW there.
yeah, we do. With that, the board will be moving into executive session to evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment or to review performance of a public employee. This will last for 20 minutes.
Really, you're being optimistic.
We'll
We can always come
reconvene
back
at,
up.
we'll reconvene at 6:45.
And we need to figure out how to take Dave and Rocky in there. Are they gonna be on the phone?
We can do them on phone.
Phone.
internet must close.
Call, they all left.
The board met in executive session and took no action. We did have one additional piece of new business to address this evening. We'll turn things over to Chief Maurer.
And I'm gonna turn them over to Chief Russell.
Yeah, there was one other invoice we wanted to bring to you guys just to get before you, so you'd have a couple of weeks to take a peek at it. I forgot to add it to the packet, but I just wanted to bring it up if you guys have any questions. But some of our portable radios are reaching the end of their serviceable life, and so we're just slowly starting to purchase additional radios each year. It's a budgeted item. We have the budget in the operational supplies, but it's going to be I think it's 10 radios for about $28,000. I could be off on I know that the invoice is for 27,000 and some change, but I can't remember the exact number of portable radios. But it is just some of the radios are starting to reach the end of their life, so it's just radio replacement. So you will see that probably at the next meeting. I just wanted you to be prepared.
Thank you.
That seems pretty reasonable.
Board.
3,000 a radio.
I think I think it's 12,000 a radio, so I think it might be some other.
You said 10 in the total.
Sean
list.
has
It's definitely not 3, I'll tell you that.
Is it
Yeah,
our
I think-
900s?
You said 28.
It's some of the 900s and then it's some of the operational radios. Sean, do you have that invoice in front of you?
I thought he said 28,000.
I'm scrambling trying to find it, but not
You
yet.
Well, I'll have it for you next meeting, but I just wanted to.
I thought you said 28,000, I was trying to do the math. So.
Yeah, no, that would be like 3
Yeah,
readings.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Roundtable, good of the order?
I'd just like to say that I appreciate our attendance at the Commissioners Conference. I always think you learn more meeting with other departments to find out what's going on with them and talk to other folks. And some of the classes were decent. Accommodations were nice. I know it's another 3 or 4 days away from families, but I appreciate everybody that attended, and I thought it went well. So.
I thought it was a good event.
And their bar was open 24/7. Rocky?
Yeah, it was. And,
Okay.
I would just say it was a great conference, and glad we had good representation from our board and from the chief officer ranks, and appreciated the time we got to spend and kind of network, and I feel like it was very useful and very productive, so thank you.
Good.
One other thing for the board is we've completed our 2022 audit. We have a clean audit, so we're happy with that. And then I know Commissioner Losbeck, you said you could attend the exit, and I just wanted to make
It's
sure
up to the
we're
chair.
good
If
to
the chair
schedule
wants-
that.
If the chair wants to attend, he should. It's up to you, sir.
I'll check the dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Normally, if you can't do it, I'd be glad to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check the dates. I'll confirm that email.
And then just to remind people, tomorrow night, we have a joint meeting with.
So tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at Station 151, there's a joint board meeting with Clark County Fire District 3, Clark County Fire District 6, and Clark Cowlitz Fire and Rescue. The main topic of that meeting will be EMS District 2 discussions.
Will that be broadcast?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. Anything else? All right. Well, with that, we'll need to authorize payment of current bills, pre-authorization transmittal, authorize monthly commissioner compensation.
Second.
What, did you say? move?
Did he make the motion?
I don't think you said it.
No, I
Motion to
didn't.
adjourn, but that's
Yeah.
it. Motion to adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded to approve authorize payment of current bills, pre-authorization transmittal, and authorize monthly commissioner compensation. All those in favor?
Yes, sir. Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.